Good evening. This is David Dutton in the Stormwatch America Command Center here at Channel 1 America. Happy 4th of July to you out there. It's just after 5 o'clock on the East Coast, and we're live from Atlanta with continuing coverage of breaking news and severe weather. Unfortunately, not a very happy 4th of July for some folks in the northwestern sections, especially in Kerr County in the San Antonio, Texas area this evening. And they've had a day of it with severe flooding there, almost historical flooding, really, with the flood emergency still in effect. We have fatalities reported in the area. Again, the worst hit area appears to be Kerr County, just northwest of the San Antonio area. And we understand flooded way out of its banks. It's at historical levels. It's starting to come back down this afternoon, but it has been peaking and going up ever since about 2 a.m. Eastern time. What we'd like to do right now is bring you continuing coverage of this event. We're going to switch over to station WO. In San Antonio, this is News 4 in San Antonio. We continue of this catastrophic event. Again, 13 fatalities, several people, including adults and children. One home at least swept the Guadalupe River.
20% rain chance. Scattered shower. Earlier, we actually had a few downpours, so it looks like tonight we should be okay. And then you'll see in the morning we start to sprout these little downpours at 8, 9 o'clock. New Braunfels up around Blanco, near Kendall County. You see how the circulation southwest put these areas into flood. Going now is 2 o'clock. They're Bear, Dana, Bear, Kendall. And notice sort of the back building and training. Another one of the things we watch for flooding here in South Texas. And so, all right, so we're not just yet. Today, and then next week we shut it down. Next, and then we're just talking about what I just showed you. This would be no rainfall. Could still be a bullseye of inches as seen in that model at face value. What could be on the table for us here? And so that's part of the hill country, northern Bexar County. You know, we still have to be very mindful of the scenario with this system before we declare that we're in the the rain chance scattered 50% chance at 5, and then dropping to 10% lightning. So with a little shower temperature 70. Amy, John?
We do want to.
Yeah. So in our on our way, that is brand new. Lieutenant now is headed to Kerr County and to Kerr to meet with the emergency management there and kind of establish an emergency management center as crews are they they're mystic. The
150 kids, 20 tonight.
Camp for girls, and he says you're not going to be able to get closed. This is a historic flooding. We have video here. a live look at Kerr County. This is
in that area of one of the air crews around. 9 rescue teams as well. Did say it was 10 earlier, between 6 and 10. We know that the number is 15 now, expected to go up, but earlier they had recovered between 6 to 10, both adult and children that were in trees in some cases. Sadly, their bodies had been found there, but we do know that between 400 and 500 are on the ground when it comes to rescue teams. The Lieutenant Governor also mentioned they don't have any other air offering their chopper from other agencies, perhaps their drones as well. The Lieutenant Governor stressing that they're fine when it comes to that. They have their assets. They don't need any more right now. One of the other things that we do want to keep in mind as well, this idea of reunification centers and shelters, specifically there in the area of Kerrville and Ingram. The Ingram Elementary School and Arcadia High, as we understand it, to be where the parents for Camp Mystic gather to hopefully be reunited with their loved ones.
And to that point, basically they were explaining that Camp Mystic has put out, if you have heard or if you heard, then your child is accounted for. If you have not heard, then your kid is okay. There are again 23 or yes, 20 in Camp Mystic, which has it's 50 girls there, and this just hit in the middle of the night. Camp Mystic saying that we've stated there's no electricity. I know a lot of the roads are closed. They're not going to be able to get out updates right now. They don't even have the capability if they wanted to. So a lot of the boots that are on the ground, and they're going out in waves, they are having search and rescue crews from San Antonio, from all of our local municipalities, counties, and our cities are headed that way.
And around the clock.
They'll be doing so around the clock, so that there's not going to be a point where they're not out there looking for people to try to rescue as many of these people as possible. And he does say, as far as those who have been confirmed dead, some of them are children, some of them are adults, some of them that were taken and swept away.
That is some of the video that Chris Suchan, chief meteorologist, got in just a short time ago. And that right there gives you an idea of why we're talking about a mass catastrophe event. That water is rushing, and to Chris's point earlier, you can't survive that. You get swept up in that, and you know, you're lucky if you can find a tree and hold on for life. Unfortunately, this scene unfolded in the middle of the night, which again catches people off guard if perhaps they just weren't
you
expecting.
think maybe if I got swept into that, I would be okay. Unfortunately, what you can't see is everything under the water. When we've seen today, and we've shown you images and videos of homes that have been picked up off of their foundation and swept away downstream, pieces of houses, limbs that you're seeing here, entire trees. This is video that our reporter Phil Sterling took because he found himself in the middle of a terrifying flash flooding. He said there's a wall suddenly coming at us down the road, and you heard him there just go, oh my goodness. He explained it in this live shot, and he said, I just, you know, you think, I've never seen anything like this. I've never experienced anything like this. I didn't know until I was in it, this is how it happened, and suddenly there's a wall of water coming at me, and it's starting to come up to jump in the car and try to get to higher ground. But what you can't see is what's under there, and if you could just imagine someone trying to swim out of that.
Can't at that point.
Exactly.
You can't.
You can't.
that
There's
sweeps
nothing you
cars
can
off
do.
the roads. That sweeps buildings off of its foundation.
And we're not out of this. That's the point. And they're saying, I mean, even that, it's deadly. It's a superpower greater than any human can try to go against. And it's horrifying for all of these people who are still missing.
That were impacted by it. The thing again, the Lieutenant Governor, county leaders, and county and city officials stressing, you don't out there in any of this. I know sometimes you're curious and you want to see down the road, perhaps the river. Now's not the time. You don't want to be in harm's way. It's bad. We've shared the images. We'll continue to share images. It's been wall-to-wall coverage for us all day. Several to share. In fact, Emma Allen standing with more of those images. But don't go outside. Just stay inside. Stay safe.
Yeah, I want to show you some devastating footage that we were via chime in from Audrey Gomez. If we can take that now. This is the Kerrville Shriner Park. She says she was actually camping with her family in a tent that was on stilts, and this morning she was woken up by park rangers telling her and she and her family to immediately leave. Not knowing the water was actually right behind their tent. You can see that picture right there. She said park rangers, she's so thankful that park rangers were able to wake her family. They did already see some tents and cars floating in that river. You can see large trees, debris right there. And she said that able to take everything that they came with, but they had to leave plenty behind. It is devastating. We know it's the 4th of July, a lot of happy people out there, but whenever we get video like this, it's devastating to see, the aftermath of that flooding that we've been following for you all morning and all night and day now. Jonathan.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, we were with Carlo earlier, who had some incredible firsthand accounts of those speaking with, showing us one of these homes, the perspective of these people who live off of the Guadalupe River. One of them, he said, I woke up bright lights. His home looks like it has been trashed. Yeah. His home is on its foundation, but he said, I woke up to bright lights. It was the water taking out the electric poles. Everything was popping. Came up to his house and found he tried to get out, but his cars were at that point submerged, so he just got away on foot. And he said he was the only one that was home. He was okay, but he got to his house. We walked with Joe and this gentleman, and it
wasn't the same situation. There were homes that were swept off of their foundation.
Some homes were
this
swept.
Was down the street. Mind you, the home that was swept or appeared to be swept off the foundation, that was right on the Guadalupe River. Yeah. But then the street, which is several feet near that river bank, you see the line of debris that was pushed up against the fence line. Yeah. Those fences barely holding on, but then you saw awnings coming down on cars, and this was several feet. I mean, you're talking a good distance away, which gives you an indication of just how high the water went. You can see, I believe the gentleman's name was Greg. You can see the water line that was far above your waistline. He was thankful that he's alive. He's thankful that he still has his stuff, but it gives you the idea of just how powerful, how quick this was.
And so what we're seeing now, this is a search and rescue helicopter. Again, they have a number of these out right now, but you saw someone going down, presumably, the governor was saying, we're rescuing adults and children out of trees right now. These are why we have all of these helicopters and all of these drones and our crews out there. They're identifying the people who still need, who have been found and don't have a way to say, I'm here, come and get me. So they're flying from that vantage above, and we saw someone just being lowered.
Again, if you're joining us, unfortunately, we have some sad breaking news to tell you about right now. 13 fatalities as a result so far of this flooding event. And we still are just beginning to get the beginnings of this catastrophe that is developing right now in southern Texas, unfortunately. And we have also learned that at least 23 girls at Camp Mist there in the San Antonio area in Kerr County, anyway, Texas, are missing. Search and rescue is continuing at this hour. That is a camp of 700 girls, and 3 of the girls are missing at this hour.
Right, because they have coordinated this. They've been working on coordinating this since yesterday. They said they just didn't know exactly where it was going to be. And Chris Suchan, a lot of these people are not in the clear yet. No, they're not in the clear just yet.
Guys, I want to add Paul Stratton, the video that we showed earlier, the raging waters urban day. He messaged me back to let me know that was at 1:36 this afternoon. So the river was higher and more angry through the morning as waters were rushing down. That was after the noon hour at 1:36 per Paul getting back with me. Thank you very much, Paul, for that update too, by the way, on that. This is a live look now here at 4:17 this afternoon. There in Kerrville. This, of course, is our camera there on the library. We're looking across the river, and it has come down quite a bit. It's still in flood. It's not the aggressive that it was earlier in the day today. But you can still see the power of that floodwater with some of the foreground imagery here you see from our live camera. All right, this is the reason for that has unfolded today. It's a catastrophic flood event. This happens history here. This is the second flood exceeding the 1987 flood per the National Weather Service here. And this is what happens. You get these remnant tropical systems. There's a myriad of ways to get this. This was a tropically based setup and scenario with a remnant circulation for Barry, and it dropped this zone of 6 to over 12 inches of rain in this area. And I've seen a couple of gauges up here around 14 inches. And then you get Kendall County, on the Guadalupe River. Here, a general 3 to 9 inch rainfall has that occurred in County. Notice in Kerr County, inch to over 2 inches of rain in the northern end of the county from the storms and from the rain over into. So level here, but we've had some significant rain and it drops further south. But that was the bullseye that I was worried about last night, news forward to 10 o'clock, and yesterday early evening at 5 and 6 when I was talking about the setup. Now we just have of light rain, light to moderate rain, so we would like to see no rain here, but instead it's salt in the wounds is what we have. It's not aggressive training with high rainfall rates, but it's still light rain that we have floodwaters there, the Guadalupe and the Medina River here. Take this a little closer in, and there you can see as we work our way here into Kerrville. By the way, that's the existing flash flood warning. This is a flash flood warning all the way down the river right into the west end of Canyon Lake, by the way. So that's what you see here, this maroon shade here. Let me go ahead and pull the view out and kind of give you an idea of where we go from here. We're not out of the woods just yet as it's unraveling. The atmosphere really been zapped through the night into today, so it's used up a lot of resources and fuel. And so this rain should have a tendency to break apart, become more sprinkles or a hit or miss shower right through sunset this evening, and then we'll watch to see if it regathers and flares up some downpours. We want to get you a check of the river levels here. Spring Branch has not seen the floodwaters just yet. It will increase dramatically this evening. It's at 18.6 cubic feet per second. It'll be almost 1,000 by 8 o'clock, and it's forecast to really spike and crest 3 in the morning at 72,000 cubic feet per second. That's the forecast as that water works its way down. Comfort levels dropping. That is old data there as those gauges were knocked out by the floodwater. And Bandera, the water is rising still. And then eventually that'll be working down through Pipe Creek into Medina Lake. So here's a closer look at Comfort. There was the earlier peak. I saw a video from Comfort, and you could see the flood wave working down. It looks like a tidal phenomena. Say the cruise to Alaska, you see the tide, and it's like a wall of water. That's what it looks like with the flood wave coming from the rivers here. And so now the river level is dropping. This is Spring Branch, where we're going to be seeing. So upriver, it's dropping. Downriver has yet to see this water. So there you see the spike that's forecast by the National Weather Service. That's at over 37 feet gauge height. That's again 72,000 cubic feet per second. Bandera, that value is climbing now. It'll crest here around the 5 o'clock hour at 20,000, and it's forecast to sharply decrease through the night into your day tomorrow. So this is future radar. Quite out of the woods just yet. It's just not much this evening. That's good. We're not more storms and training over the same area like we have. In the overnight hours to tomorrow morning, then watch after these developing showers, heavier showers, a little lightning, and trends.
rehab. Private recovery must a 5 payment.
Clear some of those streets that perhaps have been blocked off so that they can get to those people that they do still need to rescue. Just an incredible day.
A camp map of the camps where we're really path of this. Camp Mystic, Camp Waldemar. We've heard from Camp Waldemar. Okay, person here is okay. Everyone has been accounted for. Camp La Junta, we have not heard from.
Yeah.
Camp Mystic, we have heard from, saying we have been completely devastated. It is destroyed. The roads are washed out. We have nothing. And as we've mentioned, they have buses to move the camp to
be reunited with their loved
to be
ones over at
reunited with their
Ingram Elementary.
parents at Ingram, but they can't get there because of road closures. So as soon as that's possible, we get you off your kids, and they're going to be upset. This is traumatic. They have survived. So as soon as that's possible, they're going to make it happen.
And do keep in mind, we had that map up there with those three camps, but I mean, there's a lot of camps out there. You've got kids camps, you've got RV camps, you've got homes out there. So the assessment, damage in the sheer number,
I have no idea.
Yeah, it's some time. It's going to be some time yet.
We're still in the middle of this. It can still get
ongoing.
worse for some of these people, and that's the thing to take away. How we're looking at it, it may not be raining, but there are a lot of communities where this is just pushing toward like. Now, fortunately, one thing I do want to point out is that that he was talking with the Army Corps of Engineers. Okay, do we need a dam? And like, can it sustain this? Army Corps of Engineers says yes. He says, what about tomorrow? He says, engineer says yes, it is fine, it will hold. There is no danger to the dam, Canyon Lake, which is
that's great to hear.
It's a relief
because you don't want any protection. I want to recap some of the shelters and reunification centers we know of, at least right now. A big one there at Ingram, that's going to be Ingram Elementary School, right west. Arcadia High as well, out in Kerrville. You've got the Shriner University. You've got Walmart out along Junction Highway. First United Methodist Church, and all the way out in Comfort. You've got Comfort High School, the Lobby Coffee Shop, Emmanuel Lutheran Church, and a whole lot of others that may be coming online. I know people want to help. We know that the Red Cross will be setting up soon to help folks that are impacted, but this isn't going to be a one-day type of deal of recovery. This is going to be a long time. We
might tomorrow begin to start getting the scope and the level of the destruction, but it's going to be a couple days. And it's going to take weeks, months, to get things operating the way they were before. But it's, we think about all of the people that were at these RV parks or the kids who were at these camps thinking they're going for a vacation. It's the 4th of July, it's Independence Day. It has a entirely new meaning for everyone. A year from now, we'll all be talking about, well, it's been 1 year.
Sure.
It's just, it's a huge tragedy.
It's breathtaking when you look at all the images that we've seen so far, and you see just destruction. And you look at the homes ripped off of their foundations, and you see as Destiny's Shot had the RV that was turned over, and you got some people who are willing to talk with us to kind of give us their perspective and give us a sense of what it was like when we're hearing the stories of, I didn't even know because I was asleep. Right. Mind you, this is overnight hours. You went up to the wall of water not too far down the road, but you're right, the neighbors out there and our hurts well, along with these parents, the kids at the camps, and wait for answers as well. But we're mindful of the information that we pass along because we don't want to get it wrong. We want to get it right. It's not a race to be first. It's a matter of let's make sure we get the right information out there and make sure we can save and help to save as many lives.
Yeah, at this point, we're doing everything we can to try to protect you and your families and convey to you what we need to know and what you need to know because we're your neighbors. You're our neighbors. Okay, it seems like, I'm not sure if this is a live look from one of our, no, this is just a video from earlier, got in of how high the water was.
The water there.
We heard another account here. And this is my first time. My husband and I came on the 4th of July, and I woke up and I heard something, and then we evacuated. And it's just that feeling, that intuition, I've got to get out and go.
Yeah.
Teresa and I were here when we heard from her. And, you know, our reporter Phil Sterling was giving his account. He got stuck in one of these situations. He was there. And his photographer and him were standing there, and he described it as a wall of water heading toward us. All of a sudden, it reached our car and started going up the tires, and we had to get out of there and get to higher ground. But he said it was perfect because it was just like that.
Yeah.
The blink of an eye, it has changed.
Some information to pass along for you here. So we do know that the Red Cross is assisting with those reunification efforts. There was a number as well if perhaps you're trying to locate a missing person. And I've got the number here later. 733-2767. That's going to be coming from the police department on Facebook. Again, they're saying that the Red Cross is assisting people there with the reunification efforts. All the missing person, 1-800-733-2767. But as we stressed earlier, community leaders, now isn't the time to go out and try to find those people. You're on your own. That's what the rescue teams are for. And it's to say, and if you're still missing, you want to be out there, you want to go help find them if you know, well, they're over here at this RV park or they're over here. But again, we don't need any more devastation than we already have or jeopardizing their lives.
Yeah, so Governor Greg Abbott within the last hour tweeted out a video of an air rescue mission and said, we'll try to get this to you so that we can show you, but it shows a helicopter and someone being rescued from, I think, a tree, saying rescue like this being around the clock will not stop until everyone is accounted for. We heard in Kerr County as well, and from the PIO, we heard from several people out there.
And center. 13 people. At least 23 girls are missing of Fox.
$1,900.
I mean, I get that, but
continue to go up and down the river, and right now. Talking, I can't tell you, and there's a lot of we could no they assist their cleanup, but it's definitely a heartbreaking. Will continue to be a heartbreaking evening as well. But it's still an active scene. We'll continue to monitor the situation, but for right now, we'll send it back to you.
You know, Joe, I was originally off today, so I kind of came in much later than I normally would. How long have you been there? What are some of the areas or things that you've been hearing throughout the day?
We got out here to Kerrville around noon or so. So we've been here for a few hours now, and we were driving around. There was a G Street, I want to believe it was, in the Guadalupe River. There was a car in the waters that was kind of mangled. There's also some other cars on this road that have been damaged as well. So we've seen a lot of that. We've also talked to neighbors that say anything like this. I did talk to a gentleman that's lived here since 1984, so he was here since the 1987 flood, and he said flood was nothing like this flood. This flood was worse than the 1987 Kerrville flood that occurred. So he said for as long as he's been living here, 40 years, he's seen nothing like this. Usually floods, the river rise usually doesn't come as high as this road, and the fact that there were entire houses that were completely swept from their foundations this far from the river, that was something that they've never seen before, and it was just heartbreaking to see. So we've seen a lot of community, stick together. We've talked to someone's pieces and leaving, rebuild what they have left, and stick through as a community. We've also seen people come from as far away as Marble Falls, Llano as well, to come help some of the people in Kerrville as well. So it's not even just Kerrville community; it's all community in Central Texas come together to help the flood victims, and that's great to see.
Yeah, I mean, this, the Guadalupe River, that's everyone's kind of playground growing up in the area. So of course you're going to see everyone trying to jump in to help as much as possible, even to the point that the Lieutenant Governor was asking people to please stop offering help. They had people offering their own helicopters to help with the search and rescue, but there are already 14 helicopters up in the air. It can get dangerous very quickly, so don't assistance with that. Of course, they do appreciate that, but who is interested in helping, the recommendation right now is to make a donation to Red Cross. Monetary donation. It is the easiest thing to do in these situations. Of course, a lot of people are well-meaning, trying to bring clothes and whatnot, but usually there's not storage for things like that. So that would be a donation to the Red Cross. And anyone who may be searching or wondering how a loved one is doing who was in the area, this is the number that everyone is advised to call: 800-733-2767. This is the Red Cross, and again, 800-733-2767. They are helping the city of Kerrville and Kerr County, the Red Cross, with these efforts. And there are multiple different sites that have been set for families reunite with each other, including the Ingram Elementary School, the Walmart in Kerrville, the Schreiner University, just to name a few right there. And just for the latest information, some of the quick updates that we had received, the death toll is now confirmed to be 13 individuals who have died, and that includes both children and adults. Now, no specifics were given in terms of where those individuals were, and no identities have been released or anything like that. The focus right now is to continue to save lives, rescue those who are missing, including 23 children at a summer camp, Camp Mystic, along the Guadalupe River in Texas. And of course, as we heard Joe DiCarlo a short time ago, still here, rain. Let's check in with Alex right now for the situation, what people should be aware of. Is it going to rain the rest of the weekend?
Well, for most of that, we're going to see an opportunity for later tonight, probably into Saturday, and a little bit into Sunday as well. The good news tonight, though, is that the heavy rain has moved out of the region, but we're still left with some pockets of moderate to light rain all the way across from Kerrville to Burney to New Braunfels, across Bexar County, all the way down into Wilson County, into Atascosa, and down near Pearsall and over to Hondo. The main area with that big rain, that low pressure center, is now moved on out toward the north and northeast. And we're kind of that little bit of a flow that comes this way. So we're going to continue to see whatever rain is left around that low, follow that same pattern and go right on up into Georgetown, back on over into Rockdale and back over to Bryan College Station. We'll see the same pattern here develop. Whatever rain develops right up here in the Fair Oaks is going to slide right across Bexar County and go back up. So again, we're looking at little waves of rain, not heavy rain. We still have a couple of flash flood warnings in effect. this one right here, that little thin one, she got Kerrville, basically along the river and then back on out toward Candalia and Canyon Lake. That's going up till about 7 o'clock. That is morning. Then we have another flash. Most of western make it western Kerrville and a little bit of northern Bandera County, and that's up till about 7 o'clock this evening. After that, we're thinking things should settle down quite a bit. Now, when we looking at the rainfall totals, we're continuing to get the updated numbers. And again, this is just estimates. We're looking at radar, looking out, finding the rain, estimating how much rain is falling at any one given point in time. But for verification, we really need some rain gauges. But for now, the estimate within that little area there up in the Hunt is about 12 inches of rain. And of course, that's right up in that Mystic area where they've got the on. And then when you take a look at the areas outside of that, it's a good 10-inch rainfall all the way down to the south of that, where we see 11-inch rainfall. Then we get across that gradient going all the way over into Kerrville. And by the time you get to Kerrville, the actual total drops off, maybe about 5 inches of rain. So a real strong gradient there, rainfall stretching out, moving into the 10-inch rain. This side of Ingram, we're into 9 inches. At Ingram, we're also low 9s. Then we get out here just this side of Mount Wesley, we're in the 6s, and you finally get over here into the 5-inch rainfall. So significant amount of rain in that one small area that happened early this morning. Now we come over and we get the updated numbers out for Comfort. Comfort kind of lucked out today. Get real big heavy rain, but they did get the rainfall just a little under 3 inches. Now north of the system, they had 7 inches of rain there. So everything downstream from these lands is where we're really concerned about. We're looking for low water crossings out across northern Bexar County, back out across into Kendall County and Bandera County. This evening, we're looking at how much rain is falling, how intense it is, and it's really back quite a bit, which is good news, which means all that heavy rain is well up toward the north. We're just seeing some light, really light to moderate pockets of rain kind of moving across the area now and really transitioning into light rain across most of the region. Now, when we want to look at the real good pockets, we're looking just south of Timberwood Park, just north of Hollywood Park. This is back out near Stone Oak and back over near Greystone. We're still getting some rain there, but it's less than an inch an hour in that particular place. And when we get back over a little bit further to the east, out Bridge, again, we're looking at a little bit less. So there's rain still falling. There's some pockets of rain still falling in Bexar County that are kind of heavy. It's back to Fredericksburg, back over to Stonewall. You'll see those same little pockets, a little less than an inch of rain. So overall, the system itself sliding away from us, just back in kind of the leftovers that we see tonight. So everything should begin to pick off around that 8 or 9 o'clock. Most will be well done. The only thing we're looking for at this is for the water to continue in the rivers and rescue efforts to continue.
All right, thank you so much, Alex. And, I'm just trying to continue to gather information just from my computer right here, trying to follow some of the other camps that are in the Hunt area that we're trying to get information out of. But the camp director, camp owner, is one of the individuals who died in the rescue efforts are ongoing throughout the county, as many people have been impacted by the devastation. But again, they received word that Jane Ragsdale did not make it. They say we're mourning the loss of a woman who influenced countless lives and was the definition of strong and powerful. Of course, a flash flood watch remains in effect there until at least 5 p.m. could be extended. So that again is from Heart of the Hills, another summer camp along the Guadalupe River. Right. So we're also going to dip in and take another look at another live picture of the Guadalupe River in Kerrville right now. So this is the area where we just saw where Joe DiCarlo was, where just how tremendously fast the water is still moving right now. down. You know, one of the numbers that everyone is kind of focusing on is how quickly it rose. 26 feet, 45 minutes. At least 13 people are confirmed to have died in the flash flood overnight. And literally hundreds of individuals are searching for those who may be stuck in trees and other parts of the area who were swept away. It's so early in the morning, catching so many people by surprise. 14 helicopters up in the air right now. Lieutenant Governor had been rescued from trees, and of course, focus has been on Camp Mystic, also along the Guadalupe River in Hunt, Texas. And some information. Girls, it's an all-girls camp, are being evacuated, and this is a huge effort because they have 750 children from elementary school into high school evacuating 750 children. That's just hard to imagine. Now, the military has been a lot of the state efforts. They had crews in place as of yesterday so that they were able to respond, and we've heard from officials with Kerr County who were along the river at 3:30 a.m. and spoke to just how quickly the water rose near Hunt, and then as Alex had explained, the water would be heading toward Canyon Lake. So the lieutenant governor has kept that area a focus right now, continues to communicate with the Army Corps of Engineers to make sure that the dam at Canyon Lake is still working as it should be right there. And we've heard from homeowners. We've actually been able to get inside people's homes where you could see the water line, in their living room, of just the sediment that was behind. And these homes are already on a foundation that is high, and the water continued to rise at least 2.5 feet inside of their home. But starting to get a picture of those who were perished. The official word is just it does include children and adults. Now this video right here is a time lapse that just shows near the foundation area of that pavilion, and no time at all, it's up to the roof of that. Just one perspective, amount of flooding right there. So it was just about an hour ago or so where we were able to hear from state officials and local officials. Let's go ahead and listen now to what was shared by Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick, who is now the acting governor out of the state.
My name is Dan Patrick, Lieutenant Governor, acting governor. The governor's out of state today on a day which is usually a celebration. It's a very tough day in Texas. We had a disastrous flash flood that hit somewhere around 4 in the morning. The rain came down 12 or more per hour. Within 5 minutes, they're going to a river. Many people watching or listening know that they have, maybe in the past, when they were younger, taking their kids or grandkids down, you've moved down the Guadalupe. That river rose 26 feet, 45 minutes. It was a dry bed. There wasn't a lot to absorb it. It went down. It was a destructive flood, taking property and sadly lives. I know that there are anxious parents watching, wanting information. We have the best rescue teams and response teams in the world in emergencies. Currently, we have 14 helicopters receiving calls on my personal cell from people who know someone that was involved. summer camps. Need anyone showing up with a drone. We do not need any more personal helicopters. We do not need more additional air assets. 14 choppers in the air, it gets dangerous even with that many flying. So I know some of you have said, we can be there, we can help. We do not need any more helicopters or drones flying in the area. We have 14 choppers, as I said, 12 drones, 9 rescue teams, swimmers in the water, rescuing adults and children out of trees. We have 400 to 500 people on the ground from all of our units. DPS control the units who are there. For the parents who are waiting, particularly that had children in Camp Mystic. Camp Mystic is a camp that has over 750 kids. Right there are 20 some that aren't accounted for. That does not mean they've lost. They could be in a tree, they could be out of communication. We're praying for all of those missing, found alive. We're doing everything we can to get in there. We have the game warden. You were the colonel of the game warden's beat. Walking foot, driving, dropping in the water, whatever we can do to find everyone we can. That camp is divided into 2 banks. For those of parents who have Camp Mystic, this is a notice they sent out. They know all of the names of the parents, all the email addresses, all the phone calls, and all the cell numbers so they can call. Message, we have sustained catastrophic flooding. We have power, water, or Wi-Fi. All Cypress Lake campers are accounted for. So if your child was in Cypress Lake, that camp is divided into certain areas. All Cypress Lake campers are accounted for. All campers on the hill are accounted for. If your daughter is not accounted for, you have been notified from the camp. If you have not been contacted, your daughter has been accounted for. I want to repeat that. And this is not from the state, not from the government, it's from the camp director on the ground. If you have not been personally contacted, then your daughter is accounted for. Instead of telling 700 or 800 parents your daughter is accounted for, they're calling those parents with the news that their daughter is not accounted for yet. They're working with the search and rescue with the state, obviously, and I know I've had parents. I have 8 grandchildren. I know if it was one of my children, I would be tempted to want to drive there from Houston as well. But we're asking people to stay away from the areas. There's flooding in many roads, major roads, minor roads. And once we're able to get some of those roads clear, when the rain stops, then we have 10 buses ready to go in and pick up the kids, and we'll find a point and announce it at that time where you can be reunited with your child and hug them hard.
Just very devastating. I mean, watching this since this morning, you've been here.
Yeah, and so he was giving the update on Camp Mystic. Another in the area that they have now shared on Facebook. This camp is called Heart of the Hills. They're confirming that their director killed in Jane Ragsdale. Fortunately, though, the camp was not in session, so there were not any children there at the time, but they did confirm on Facebook that Heart of the Hills director Jane Ragsdale, as they put it, did not make it. They say, we're mourning the loss of a woman who influenced countless lives and was the definition of strong and powerful. They add that we know a lot of you want to help, but roads are not open, and an official report of camp destruction is not available right now. So, of course, they will be providing more information as it comes in. And the county will also be giving another press conference coming up in about 2 hours. So their next press conference is set for 7 p.m.
All right, I think we're going to go to break, continue our coverage.
And we're live here in Atlanta. This is David Detton at the Stormwatch America Command Center. It is 6 o'clock. Weather catastrophe is unfortunately happening on in the Texas area. We understand at least 15 people are dead after a catastrophic hit there during and the day today. I believe this flooding peaked around 1:30 Central Time with the Lupe River there in County, Texas. Not only above the state, but at and some of the gates there were actually destroyed from waters. The Army Corps of Engineers will try to get in there new flood gauges as possible. A safe level where they can do so. At last I heard before the gate broke, the flood stage, and then it broke. And so understanding that there from the girls are still missing out of a Camp Mystic area. That's what we've been focusing on this afternoon in that area. Those are missing. They're missing. Deceased. There's no communication in this area. There's no water, no communication to contact parents. They have received a call from us. Your child is missing. Your child is accounted for. There will be a reunion center that will be set up soon. What's stopping progress? The road washed away. The absolute horrific scene and cars and with people in the river overnight. Have dealt in some of them deceased, some of them, as the governor just said, there are at least not many drones, and they do not. This is just San Antonio, Texas area. They flashed emergency. It was a flash flood watch. However, we get flood. Pay attention to them. Nobody knew it was going to be the event that we have experienced. The only thing that we can pin now wise the green of Hurricane Bear that went in Mexico there and the northwest midnight night stayed in the same area where isolated up to rain. not much better, at least a half foot or more. Tornado area is fine. In case you're there is a possibility that something like this could happen again tonight. Your day tomorrow. Those are now forecast possibility of a repeat event in Kerrville, but between Kerrville and the San Antonio area, this may affect San Antonio during the overnight hours tonight or tomorrow. Or this occurring still, there's still flooding river, which is literally a wall of water that came to the river and let's get later back to the fuck. San Antonio, Texas.
Full ground. If there is any area they need to go to help rescue, they're trying to make their way through because a lot of roads turned into rivers, as you can imagine, rushing. We saw at points homes, literal homes being swept by the flow of these waters. Again, 20 to 30 minutes in is that Guadalupe River getting so much rain within 30 minutes. Monitoring the road conditions, they're trying to get emergency vehicles in there, also trying to offer up some possible. Red Cross is out there providing shelter to people, several reunification centers. But honestly, I mean, this is something we've seen before, but not in a long time. And so very concerning. And that's why we are staying with this wall-to-wall coverage. And we have other sister stations joining us in this coverage, watching, joining in on all breaking news. But we have Chief Meteorologist Alex Garcia standing by. And Alex, this is something we were tracking overnight. We saw that a storm was brewing. We didn't know that it was going to get to this point. And when it did, it came quick.
It did. I mean, we're talking a couple of hours here of things getting started right around the 3 o'clock, 5 o'clock. Most of this happened. We were seeing a very strong upper level low with a lot of moisture, and boy, did it bring the rain down. We were looking at 1.5 to 2 inches an hour raining down over one particular zone, and that happened to be right back up here over that area. Now, this hour, the rain has backed off significantly, with staying well up to the north now, with little pockets of moderate rain to light rain going into Bernie, down into San Antonio, all the way south, out toward the Pleasanton area. But here's a view of where that was happening. You can see a little bit of a low. This is kind of a classic develops in this situation, just kind of sliding up in that direction. And of course, as it does so, it takes that rainfall, makes the pattern go right up along this way. So everything that we're seeing right now in this region, back up here north of John, we're going to circle around and get back up into Austin. So if we're looking back up here for Hunt and back into Kerrville, it looks like back up here into San Antonio, we'll get that light to moderate rain as well, as that pattern still flows around that region. Now, as things we still have a couple of them out, they're going to be going on this evening. So that means at least another couple of hours we see this down. This is a very thin one. You notice it has kind of a weird shape. It kind of follows the river as it goes through that pattern that we're looking at, and we'll see it go right up into Canyon Lake. So that's up until 7 o'clock. A little further back out to the west, we've got another flash flood warning there. That's also up until about 7 o'clock. Rainfall-wise, again, estimates. This is what we're looking at with the radar, kind of trying to figure out how much rain fell in one place. And we use a lot of different algorithms to do that, and we kind of come up with an estimate. And the estimate pattern, that's a really high spot, that's a high spot, then it kind of gradients out from that point. Let's get a little closer in and show you what that looks like. This is Hunt. This is where that campground was. And right in this region here, we're looking at 0.2 inches of rain. Now, keep in mind, that happened over a couple of hours. A couple of hours, we were getting 12 inches. That's almost 6 inches of rain coming down per hour. You come out to that blue area, that's 10-inch rainfall. Then you go further back up, and boy, that's where the bigger rainfall started to come through. So down here, out in the Comfort, not a tremendous amount of rain, but we were kind of worried about that. They got about 3 inches of rain in that area. So that meant, yes, not quite as bad there, but you get over to Sisterdale, here we're looking 7.9 inches of rain. So all across the region, all stretching out, back all the way out from Kerrville, stretching back into this region, we saw a great of high rainfall rate. And boy, when that really dropped in, it created problems in the river. And that's why we were seeing those 20-foot rises in 30 minutes. In less than 45 minutes, we were seeing the water rather quickly. Because in this particular region, this is what we call karst area. In other words, it's more like solid rock. Rain hits, channels in, and there's really no soaking in. It's the water moving rather quickly. And that's why they call this area the flash flood capital of the world. For the evening, though, this is the current how much rain it is. Really not that intense over Kerrville, which is good news. You have a little pocket going up through Sisterdale and up into Fredericksburg. So we're beginning to see things kind of calm down. It's just rain out across the area now. And where we saw some heavier rain up across northern Bexar County, most of that has been away. So what we're looking at sits right here. That's back up there. We get about an inch, a little over an inch an hour, half an hour. And that is going to circle around and go back here out into the north and northwest. So that's kind of what we're looking at right now. We're going to keep an eye on it and see exactly when we're going to see all of this finally leave. But my best estimate is about 7 to 7:30 we should be able to see this stuff back off.
Yeah, thank you, Ellis. And I know at that time, that is when we're going to be getting, hopefully, an update from Governor Dan Patrick. Earlier, he's the acting governor right now as Abbott is out of the state. He provided information, and Roy, we have team coverage on this because it is such a big, devastating event continuing to develop. So, you know, let's rehash some of the information so far.
Yeah, 23 so far, still missing, mainly kids from the district in Kerr County, and 13 fatalities. And last time we got an update was around 3 o'clock from Kerr County sheriffs and other officials. Let's hear from them. This was from 3 o'clock briefing where they confirmed 13 deceased so far.
All right. It's Friday, July 4th. This is the 3 p.m. briefing. Kerr County Emergency Management. Thank you all for being here. My name is Clint Morris, and I'm the Public Information Officer with Kerr County Sheriff's Office. We'll have some local partners today speaking about this response and what's going on. If the public has many questions about what has happened, evacuations, casualties, and other information, at this point, it's simply to confirm all of these details accurate. Involving emergency and working around the clock to rescue survivors, reunite families, and collect reliable information. We know this uncertainty is incredibly hard, and we want everybody to know that every resource available is being directed towards search and recovery. This is a very wide response throughout all of Kerr County. As soon as we can confirm details, we will deliver them to you with transparency. We also want to be upfront that due to the rapidly changing nature of this situation, we will not be taking questions at the conclusion of this briefing. We are committed to keeping you informed, and we'll provide the media with the time and location for the next scheduled press conference as soon as we're confirmed. At this time, I'd like to Kerr County Sheriff Larry Letha for an update.
Yeah, those y'all, I'm the sheriff, Kerr County Sheriff Larry Letha. I appreciate y'all coming down here to cover this stuff. What I want you to know, we're not here to hide anything from the media. We'll keep y'all updated as much as we can, as fast as we can. But y'all got to understand, right now the only concern we have is rescuing everybody and all these kids out here. What I can say, you know, there's still several people unaccounted for right now at this point, but we're working really hard, and we're going to continue the process. Okay? We don't know when it's going to stop raining, how much more, hopefully not much more. What I can tell you, at this time, currently, we have identified 13 fatalities. Okay, well, sorry, we haven't identified, and we have located 13. That's at this time. I think there'll be more when this is over and time to tell. We'll do our best job to keep you all informed as we can. What I'd like to tell you about is our reunification centers. One of them is in Elementary. That address is 125 Brave Run West, Ingram, Texas. The other one is the Arcadia Live, which is at 717 Water Street here in Kerrville. So one of the biggest questions we've had is where do we call, how do we get hold, how do we find our ones? What you do is you'll contact Red Cross. The number is 1-800-733-2767. What I'm going to ask the public to do we need is, we've got a lot of assets here, every agency. I actually really don't know what all. I mean, they keep coming in. My phone doesn't stop. We've got a lot of help out there. We'll be able to do the job. It's just going to take some time. Ask everybody to shelter in place, okay, if you can. That's what I'd like to get out, shelter in place. But we're working really hard. We don't have a number of how many are missing. Obviously, we're working hard around the clock. So at this time, I'll turn it back over to PIO Clint Morris.
Thank you, Sheriff. Now, welcome to the microphone, Kerrville Mayor Joe Herring Jr.
Thank you for being here. Our job today is to get information as soon, as quickly, and as accurately as we can. I want to say another time, thank you to all the from so many different agencies who are here to help. City crews, county crews, and state crews are working extremely hard to help in this situation. I want the public to know we are doing everything to rescue those who are in peril and to find those who are missing. Now I'd like to call on City Manager Dalton Rice.
Thank you, Mayor Herring. Dalton Rice, the City Manager for the City of Kerrville. Really appreciate and thank you for the patience. We know that this is a lot going on. We know that some of the times have changed. As I said before in the previous briefing, this situation has evolved very quickly and it's still actively going on. So I want to kind of share a couple things. We have what we know, we have what we don't know, and we have what we don't know we don't know. And so we're continuously working through this process. Kind of just history of what happened on the timeline this morning. The North and South Fork, which feed into the Guadalupe, hit peaks about 3 a.m., give or take. Don't quote me on my times, but somewhere around 3:30, 3 a.m. I was at that time, everything was fine. Within an hour to hour and a half period, it was up almost to the bridge.
Kerr County officials, this was information from a presser earlier talking about the situation, the search and rescue efforts. Again, 13 confirmed, but they are expecting that number to rise as they continue to have many more still missing.
Yeah, and that footage you're seeing right now, Governor tweeted out something of this nature. You can see the helicopters flying over, rescuing people from the trees. There's still 23 reported missing, most of them from Camp Mystic up there in Kerr County. But you can see this is what the emergency personnel are doing. There's dozens of helicopters in the air from all over the state of Texas. Houston has sent people to this area. There's people from all over, emergency services coming, congregating in Kerr County and to try and save people reported missing. Houses have been destroyed. We've seen footage of cars just being swept away completely down the Guadalupe. It's just actually devastating scene.
Oh yeah, and they're urging residents, if you're in that area, although the weather has calmed down and it's not, the water there is still high. So if you don't need to drive, please don't. It is still deep water. Even the next couple of hours, as still missing, and with rain and severe weather, that doesn't help when you're out here making these search and rescue efforts. We have a new video from Governor Abbott sharing this on. If you could, that is a rescue crew by helicopter coming in firefighter grabbing someone that is in a tree, and not sure if the water pushed them up there or maybe they were swept by the water and then up the tree for safety. But if you take a close look, you can actually see that rescuer right there holding on to someone as they are trying to break them free and take them to safety.
Right, there's more than helicopters in the air, 500 personnel on the ground right now trying to do exactly what you're seeing now, saving people who are still not reported, confirmed to be accounted for. Right now, I mean, this is just absolutely amazing what the emergency services are able to do right now.
Yeah, you saw that woman being saved in real time, and it's just, you know, we want to give a big thank you to all first responders that are out there putting their lives also on the line to help others, and all of their efforts.
Absolutely important to note as well, we've heard from multiple officials say that it's important to interfere with the emergency services that you are going to be all throughout Kerr County. We've heard it from Governor Patrick, Lieutenant Governor, Acting Governor as of today. Police say first responders are already dealing with heavy traffic and people gathering to look at the floodwaters. They say this is happening. Rescue and recovery missions and operations are taking place. So he is urging people to get out of the way, let them do their jobs, let them do exactly what they are paid to do, which is save lives of people who are distressed right now.
Yeah, especially when it comes to drones. I know a lot of people are trying to go out there, but that is just interfering with the helicopters that are up in the air and interfering with law enforcement trying to do their job. On social media, a statement being put out, "This incident is not over, and now is not the time to go look at the river. Please help us by steering clear and giving us room to work." Now, I think we also have a reporter ready to go for us right now, Joe DiCarlo. I know you've been out there all day. Floodwaters as they rose and now slightly receding. How do things look out there right now, Joe?
I think we're having a little bit of IFB issues. Joe, can you hear us out there?
Hey.
Can you hear us
Matt.
out
Hey,
there?
Ashley. Yeah, I do. Sorry, the signal just went out right when you were talking there. But yeah, we are here on Waterfront Drive on the south side of Kerrville, and it continues to be a very active scene. Let me step out of the way here because this home was completely taken off its foundation, and I just talked to a family member of the family that lives here, and her sister describing the family. 3 out of 4 of the people that live in this home that is no longer here are missing. Her sister was talking about her sister, which her name is Natalia. Natalia Benzor. Her husband and her baby continue to be missing. They did find Natalia's son, the nephew of the one I was speaking with. He was a few miles down the river clinging to a tree, but he is alive. But unfortunately, 3 out of 4 who live in this house are still missing. So it is a very active scene. It's not just this house. There's another house completely wiped off its foundation. The house here, on my right, the blue home, it was shifted about 10 minutes as well, and you could see the river had come down from earlier when it crested. It's now very light rain that we're seeing here in Kerrville. You can see the devastation with a homeowner, a couple houses down on the corner. His name was Gary. Inside his home was still standing. He has a 5-foot foundation, and his house was able to withstand the waters. However, about 4 to 5 feet of water did get into his house, and he allowed us to go inside. So we were looking around. The furniture was all over the place. There was about mud still deep in the middle of his living room, his kitchen, the house, a complete disaster. But he okay. He was the only one that was home at the time. He was able to go outside, get in his car, and go higher ground before the flood came in, and he was there. So he resilient. He's talking about how he's going to rebuild, push this flood for many years, and this is his home in the Hill country, and he's going to months. He's gonna be back to normal. He's going to rebuild his house, but it's really a community effort. A lot of people have come throughout Central Texas here at the Kerr people that have been lending a helping hand. So it's really shown the people that have come here to help, and it used to be all hands on deck. But right now, it is still a very active search and rescue operation on of helicopters looking for those that are missing, and we continue to the neighbors of the people that have been affected directly here in Kerrville. And it's been a very sobering day so far here in Kerrville, and it will continue to be a sobering night as we still have many people that are missing. But right now, live from Kerrville, I'm going to send it back to you in the studio.
Our hearts go out to all of them. Please let them know we are thinking of them, praying for them. Our hearts go out to all of them.
Absolutely. The chief, Alex, hasn't happened in a really, I mean, this might be. What caused this? Can we kind of rehash some of what happened in this area to cause all of this?
It's a pretty big setup. We've been looking for the last couple of weeks of a lot of tropical areas setting the other end of the Pacific. We had a big moisture that came up from the Gulf and kind of moved in from the west and filled in all across this region. Then we saw another tropical system out off the Pacific that provided another kind of push of moisture. And you kind of have to look at it as if you fill a glass of water. We started filling it up with the first system. That second system really filled the brim. About 2 inches of water in the air, just ready to come out. We just needed a little bit of a trigger. We saw that in a little bit of an upper level low pressure, mid-level low pressure system. You can see on the once we get rolling with it, you'll see that spin. That spin is what helps lift the air. Boy, when it lifted it up, it became the triggering mechanism to develop showers and thunderstorms. And we saw it last night, right about 10 started to develop right up into this region, and then one right after another started to train right across. So a storm that would develop, one right behind it would develop, and pretty soon you had this long line going over the same place over and over again, and that created that and 10-inch and 9-inch rainfalls right across the region. Now tonight, it's pretty quiet. We've seen the rain kind of come down, most of it out across Bexar County come down a bit. So that was the big setup for this thing, and now we're just waiting to see actually stay think back off. And I'm thinking we're going to see opportunities for rain stay with us and maybe even tomorrow.
All right, Alex, thanks for that. I mean, it's important to note that this is just how rare something like this is and what can cause it. Let's take a look at the footage that we've gotten overnight, over the 15 hours or so. The flood is absolutely devastating. All of that rain coming up and bringing up the Guadalupe levels that we haven't seen in decades. Right now, just to rehash, 13 people have been confirmed dead up in Kerr County. 20 still reported missing. We're waiting bated breath for the briefing from up there in Kerr County to give us the latest numbers and the latest update as to how the rescue mission.
I know we've been talking about it. Just to give some perspective, the Guadalupe River is 29 feet. That was specifically in effort, and so in that area, 2 feet in 30 minutes. Can you imagine? That doesn't give any time to prepare, to get out in time. They're also, you know, as we've been learning in Kerr County, they don't have a widespread system, and so a lot of these people, you know, they rely on just word of mouth or you know, into neighbors that are, you know, saying, hey, get out, get out. I know some first responders went to homes as well to also kind of share that information. Then at Kerrville specifically, we were told 22 the Guadalupe River within an hour. This was 9 hours. So we're told that the peak hit around 3 to 3:30 a.m. You're looking at some of it right now. This was over at one of the parks, Hayes Park, where immediately you see the time lapse of the water rising. That was actually where you see the light down. That was a little pavilion is all the way, midway up. So if you were standing out there, I mean, there is no way, anyone could survive that. I mean, this is devastating with how fast and how quickly things got. We do know that now, a range of resources coming at the state and federal level to support local flood response efforts. So you have swiftwater rescue boats still there. Now that down a little bit and the water has calmed, they go by searching, seeing the helicopters coming and going because it was raining so hard still. Many of the helicopters were grounded. They couldn't reach anybody. They're up now. They're still finding people. So there is still hope for a lot of these people, a lot of these children that are missing. They could be, free, holding on to a something like that. So if you're in the area and you are at a safe end, look out and, see if you see anything or listen in here because there are still many people that are unaccounted.
Yeah, the Kerrville Public Works just put out a message as well. They're urgently asking the community is not essential. Or say their water system has some issues and ask the community while the crews assess and mitigate the impacts. The surface water treatment plant is currently offline, and they're running the system through sites. So very critical stage right now. Up. I mean, Ashley, I've never seen anything like this.
Yeah.
Just through all of this morning, it's hard to wrap your head around what exactly has happened up in the hill country.
Exactly. And, I'm from San Antonio, born and raised. I worked in Austin for a very long time. I actually do recall what incident stands is when we were flooding. This was about 10 years ago, Memorial Day. We saw something very similar where 35 feet of water within about an hour for the Blanco River. So between San Antonio and Austin, somewhere like in the San Marcos area, if you're familiar. And I mean, wow, it was also overnight. It was a holiday, Memorial Day, something very similar. People didn't get a lot of time to even prepare or know that this was going to happen. And so in that situation, very similarly, there were homes that were literally lit up, homes that are close to the water, not sitting right on the water, but very close, that they've seen the water come up to their were lifted up by the water, just swept away. And over there were dozens of deaths, unfortunately, and in this case, we already know 13 so far, but we've seen images here. And so this historically has happened before, not on a you hear something like this happening, and it is just so devastating.
Right, you heard Alex. Isn't that
yeah.
I mean, in its fourth celebration of America, supposed to be a celebration of everything that hold near and dear to our hearts, and it turned from celebration to tragedy, just the blink of an eye.
Yeah, it doesn't take very long. It's very quick, and in this particular area, when you see that amount of rainfall and it drops, it's simply because of that type of terrain out across the region. It is more rock than anything else. So when it does fall, and it gets to those river channels, more like tunnels, funnel the water really channel, and that's why we saw those quick rises of the river early this morning. They were overwhelmed with the amount of water that went through, particularly which quickly USGS is waiting to that so they can get to the data. Up into Kerrville, estimated, just an estimate, of maybe 6 the height. If that's the case, it's really,
Yeah, thank you, Alex. And people are wanting to know what else is tracking anything else? Because we heard earlier from officials say that things are bad now, but even just a few inches of rain could do even more harm. And they're right now, what they're worried about is these people that are unaccounted for. So it could really put a dent in those efforts. So are you tracking anything else?
You know, the only thing I'm really looking at tonight, Ashley, is just some light rain that's moving across. We do have one little area that's pretty strong, but if you'll notice the pattern with that, there's the upper low. All that pattern goes right up in that direction. So that means this particular storm cell that's got that heavy rain looks like it's going to follow this type right up across Austin, swinging up. So that would take it away from Kerrville, and it would really impact this. So the only thing we're looking at here in that Kerrville area, if we're a little bit further back out, just some light rain at best moving across that region. So no real more impact tonight. So they're going to break as this thing settles down and moves up to the northeast.
Yeah, Alex, thank you so much. I do want to provide a number for those that are needing assistance with reunification efforts. We're continuing to monitor everything in real time. So you see us on cell phone, we have paper here because we're taking notes of all the information, but the Red Cross is assisting with reunification efforts. They're saying to call 1-800-733-2767 if you are trying to locate a missing person. Again, that number, 1-800-733-2767. They're there. They're ready to answer the call to see how they can help.
Right. We're trying to communicate with some of our reporters on the ground as well. We have some in Comfort, Taylor Whartonby, Destiny Fuller is going to join us here in just moments. That's why when you see us, we're trying to communicate with them as well. But I want to pull up some of those reunification centers, Gabe, if we have them, just so people know exactly where they can go. There is one in Comfort. There is one in Kerrville. People are trying to see exactly where their loved ones are and where they can go and find them. Thank you so much there, Gabe. One in Kerrville right here, Walmart. This is one of the reunification centers. Right now, everyone is trying to get over there. Here in Ingram, Texas, Ingram Elementary School, 125 Brave Run West. Maybe that one, and then another one in Kerrville is University, 2100 Memorial Boulevard. Make sure you know exactly where those are. If you are looking for someone, that is going to be one of the first places you want to look. One of those 3 reunification centers that they have put together, so you can try and get your loved one that you might be lost.
You might want to, call first or see how the roads are, the conditions, because again, authorities don't want you to put yourself at risk during this time. There was a lot of debris that got swept, so now that water is receding a little bit. So you're going to be facing all of that, and I believe power is still out. Thousands of people all over the area impacted, and so with Wi-Fi down, little service already in that specific area for contacting people. We are going to go live to one of our reporters, Taylor Whartonby, who has been live all throughout the morning for us. So she's going to give us an update on what she is looking at now. Taylor.
Ashley, like you said, yeah, I've been out here in Comfort all day here earlier this morning. We've been located under the I-10 bridge, right across from the river, which you see over here. As you can see, it doesn't look like what we were reporting on earlier. It was pretty high in the early morning. Now it has gone down significantly. I was able to take a walk over there and actually walk down, something that you weren't able to do earlier. And lots of mud over there, of course, that's what we're expecting. But just the amount of water that has gone down is just an amount of time. But you can still see the water is still coming down the stream pretty aggressively. We had talked to residents nearby here that decided to stay. They said they have pets, so they didn't want to leave them. They've said they've lived here some time and have never seen anything like this. They were completely watching cars that were driving by and stopping here just to take a look at this, because it was nothing like this earlier. Now, I did talk to the Kendall County judge, and he says there was multiple. And I asked him if there were any fatalities, any information that he was able to give us. They did say an hour ago that it was the same update. They weren't able to confirm any information on that. But I do want to mention we did take a stop over at one of the shelters, which
Comfort High School. We were able to talk to some families who have been evacuated over there right now, but that was also a stage area for first responders from Bexar County and the surrounding area, so we had a chance to talk to them as well. Despite what's going on in the area, I will say that they were given food and beverages, despite what's going on over here today. But one thing that we're learning is telling us that the community has truly stepped up to feed all these residents. That this has gone down significantly. But as I was speaking to the Kendall County judge, he says there is going to be a second wave. So I'll be stationed here in Comfort.
Taylor.
Sorry, Ashley, Taylor, before we let you go, what is, with all those residents, what is kind of have been completely uprooted and destroyed and sailed down the river? So what is some of the
Yeah, just devastating. Just seeing this before the day, everyone had plans. So just having this for their day just wasn't an ideal situation. But a lot of people, I'm telling you, they're really shocked. They said they've been living here for some time and just never seen anything to this degree. Now, I did see just over at the Comfort High School. Her name was Hope. She said she lived here for 20 years and seen a few floodings, but again, nothing to this degree.
Thank you so much for that. Ashley, I mean, seeing all this, at least the water is going down.
Right.
It's a good thing to hear that 30 feet is a pretty staggering number. Just last night it was. So seeing that number has come down quite a bit, hopefully the rain tonight doesn't let that pick up anymore.
Definitely down, and continue to see through team coverage there, different scenarios. We have people all over, so you're getting different perspectives of what happened to several different areas surrounding Kerr County. Again, we heard earlier that there were about 500 first responders on the ground. This is a hands-on deck situation. Literally, people coming, from all over to help out. And if you don't have to drive right now, don't. I know that there's still people that are unaccounted for, so a lot of people are going to want to help and try to do what they can, but be very safe when you're out there. Things can turn bad quickly, again, as we saw all morning long. I know we're still waiting for more information. I mean, we did have a press release or a press earlier where they released a lot of information that they had been holding out for a little bit, but their first concern, they said, is rescuing people. It's not putting out information unless it's that they need to put it out and then they've given it to us, but their first concern is rescuing the people. So I know a lot of people have questions, they're looking for answers, but it's going to take some time because right now their priority is helping rescue people.
And they've said multiple times today, this is going to be a multiple day process tonight. It's going to take days to either rescue everybody, to get everyone on track. It's going to take some time. So as soon as we get more information, we'll make sure to give it to you. We were updated by Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick a little bit earlier today at 2 o'clock to get his press briefing, and he was visibly emotional when he gave his update, which is something that you usually don't see from the Lieutenant Governor, now acting governor with Governor Abbott out of town. But exactly. We do want to send you to another one of our reporters right now. Ethan Trejo is live for us right now. Ethan, what's going on out there?
Well, guys, I've been out at Spring Branch all day where Guadalupe River cuts directly into from the river. The Guadalupe River in this area is relatively low. We're still waiting for that river to come down from the Comfort area. Earlier today, Comal County did reach out to us and tell us these specific points. The river is expected to rise to dangerous levels to around 34 feet later on tonight at around 3 o'clock, and it might even reach higher than the Guadalupe River and bridge along 281. They've already cut off access to several roads in the area just to make sure that people are safe. You can see behind me, this river access point has been closed completely, and we actually were kicked out of another area closer to the river because of how dangerous those levels levels could be. We're waiting to see what the river levels are going to be like, but as soon as we get those updates, we'll bring them right to you. I'm going to send it back to you guys.
If you can still hear it, he was out earlier providing some great coverage along the river. This is an area that you're very familiar with. Ethan is one of our reporters that typically covers the New Braunfels area and the hill country in general. So can you provide some perspective on how things look now, or actually earlier today when it was at its height, compared to what you normally would see on a daily basis?
Yeah, absolutely. The Guadalupe River, for the most part, has been relatively low, as you guys see in a significant rise. Just from the time that I spent earlier, I saw the river rise just a couple feet, and it's expected to rise to even higher, around 6 feet in just a few hours. But then it's going to jump from 6 feet up to the around 30-foot range later on tonight. And that's something that the county is keeping themselves aware of, and they're going to keep monitoring that as the water drain through.
All right, Ethan, thank you so much for providing that coverage for us all day long. We'll check back in with you in just a
minute. Right back to Alex here. Alex, we've been covering this for, it seems like we've been on air for 13 hours now, I believe. Fox News First came on this morning with Jordan and Andrew and Brad. So let's kind of rehash what is kind of happening here and how we got to this point, and then what we're going to see the rest of the night.
Well, the big thing, of course, was all the rain that came down earlier, and we were looking at a very small time frame there. 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 2 hours of time. We were really watching what was happening with that system. The overall setup for it was incredible. We were watching a lot of moisture build up in the air, precipitable water. We had over 2 inches of water in the air, and we just needed that little triggering mechanism to start it off. But once it kicked it into play, things really got started quickly. And take a look at what happened. You know, we got all that rain coming down in just a couple of hours. We were looking at areas out near Hunt. This is the estimated rainfall there. We saw 12.2 inches of rain. And again, a couple of hours, we're talking rain coming down quick right around that Hunt area, just out all up toward the zoo. We're seeing about a 10-inch rainfall all throughout as we watch this down. So that's almost 11 inches of rain. You move a little further back out, you're looking at 9 inches of rain, and then that gradient really off as you get toward Ingram, the other side of it's 7, then you're finally getting down into the 6s, and by the time you get down to Kerrville, it's actually about 5 inches of rain. The majority of rain coming down there, and the pattern was below, spinning around this region. Now, the result, we had some flash flood advisories, watch that actually went in place last night before we started off. We had a flood. We knew things were kind of set up. We just couldn't tell where exactly it was going to be. We knew all the ingredients were in place. The was there, that we needed, that was coming into play. Then we saw that upper level system coming through, and that was going to lift up and create the rain. And we saw that start up to 10 o'clock, 10:15 last night. You see those big storms starting to develop. What's ended up today is this is going for maybe about another hour and 10 minutes, stretching right out to Kerrville. So you'll notice right now, there's just a little bit of light rain. So it's waiting for it to totally settle out. Most of the rain has moved down back over into Bernie. We've got this other little flash flood warning that extends right along the river, right out toward Comfort and Sisterdale, down toward Canyon Lake. Again, that one 7 o'clock. So we've got about another hour and 10 minutes on that. The heaviest rain well up north with all of this system. So this is our image that we're looking at. That you see that looks white, green, that's where we're looking at the most intense rainfall that's coming down. So there's the most intense right now. It's well north, and precipitation rate there a little less than 2 inches. But if you even get that into Kerrville, it could cause a big problem. The good news is it's not going to Kerrville. You can see that spin. It's going to take it away and go up into that direction. So that's the setup. That's where we are now. You can see right in County.
Alex, how because we've heard that I saw from Brad a little earlier, this might be to the flooding of the 1980s. How rare is a catastrophic event like this that we're seeing today?
Well, if you go back and you look at all the archives, this whole area has 20-inch bullets all over it. In other words, 20 inch here, 20 inch here, 20 inch there, and a 20 inch. This area is known for this. It's not, some people say it's rare. It really isn't rare when you go back and look at all the data. That's why they call it Flash Flood Alley. That's why they call it the flash flood capital of the world, because this is where flash flooding happens. We get those things that kind of set up. Part of it is the land, because this map is flat. If we did have it in 3D, you'd see the Balcones escarpment come up. And that little lift in the atmosphere or lift in the terrain helps lift the moisture in the atmosphere. When you get something like this happening, you also get that terrain change. And of course, you're looking at the type of terrain. It's karst, which means it's more like rock than anything else. So when you do get those rains, it really doesn't soak in. It just flows out. And those channels become like concrete funnels that send the water down rather quickly. So you can go back in time. 87 was not the only time it happened. There's plenty of times in the 60s, plenty of times in the 50s. But the record holder was back in 32. And again, this one, as you mentioned, might get close to that. Really close once they get to the gauge. Because the gauge is underwater right now. So back out and take a look at the data to be able to confirm that.
Those points is that the terrain, is that what that is?
Terrain, it's part of where we're located, and it's part of what happens. We've got 2 months of the year when you're really going to get big opportunities for rain. This is one of them. The other one is in September, and that's more associated with tropical system, but this is also a tropical system. It's not a hurricane, it's not a tropical storm, but it is tropical nature. It's tropical moisture. So it all came up from whatever we had down in the Gulf. It all came up from the Pacific. So when you add those two together and you add this little flow that's pulling up on the atmosphere, the dynamic create a massive rainfall.
You know, Alex, you mentioned tropical storm, and we were talking earlier about Hurricane Harvey, and then that turning into a tropical Houston and the surrounding areas. That was something that I went over there and covered during my time as a reporter in Houston. And, you know, some of the images that I'm seeing here are very similar to what was over there. Talk about the similarities and the differences.
Well, the similarity is you got tropical moisture going on, and with Harvey, it was actually Hurricane Category 5 out in the middle of the Gulf, and then on the shore, Category 3 actually gets pretty close to San Antonio, and then turns back out as a tropical storm. But with nature, you can get tropical storms in rain. With Harvey, 52 to 56 inches of rain. You go back to Alicia, that was another huge rainmaker, and only tropical storm. You go back further to Tropical Storm Fern, that really flooded the area all the way from Corpus all the way down to Brownsville. So this place has a history of getting a lot of these tropical systems in here, dropping a whole lot of rain, and again, it's just the nature of the beast.
All right, Alex, thanks a lot there. We're going to go to a short in a quick break in our wall-to-wall coverage of catastrophic floods up in the Texas Hill.